Okay, welcome to my project. I call this Just Listen. So what is this? Long story short, I'm doing this for my kid, right? I want to show my kids what I mean through all the pestering and all the imploring about, utilizing your time, creatively and constructively, and not, burying your heads in social media or on YouTube or whatever the case may be. All those stories about, oh, when I was a kid, I did this and that, instead of, conjuring up all those old stories, why not just show them what I mean and use a medium that they understand? This is 2019. Right? This is a great time to be alive. This is a fantastic time to kind of get your message out. And honestly, to put your money where your mouth is, right? So this is for them. This is for my children. But to be honest, it's also for me, right? I'm a huge fan of the arts. Whether it's, poetry, whether it's sculpting, whether it's drawing, whether it's, one of my hobbies is making beats. Right? I don't fancy myself, a producer like Pete Rock, my heroes, Pete Rock, DJ Premier or Q-Tip or anything like that. One of my favorite hip hop groups growing up was A Tribe Called Quest. And the reason why is because they reached me, right? So what Q-Tip and Fife, what they were talking about in their songs, they reached me, right? I was able to relate to them, I think, a little bit more than some of the other artists, some of the other groups that were out at the time. So I gravitated toward the lyrics. I gravitated toward the poetry of the art form. And that's what they are. They're poets. I always say, Nas, one of my favorite MCs, Nas is not a rapper. He's a poet. If you listen to his lyrics, if you really digest what he's talking about, he's a poet. He's a genius. Right? So for this first episode of Just Listen, right, and what I really want to do is focus on another one of my heroes, and that's James Baldwin. James Baldwin, he's, first and foremost, he's a writer. But the reason why I think I gravitated towards James Baldwin was his brashness, right? He came along during an era that I wasn't alive. You're talking about the 60s, the 50s and the 60s. He came along during that era. I'm an 80s child, and 80s, 90s. But in looking at, some of his videos, looking at some of the things that he talked about during that era.
It is not a question of giving the Negro equality. That is not really the question. The question is why you haven't.
Why you haven't?
Yes. Why doesn't he have it yet? This question is important. This question implies, how can I put this? That in order to deal with it, really deal with it, you have to first deal with yourself.
It's timeless, right? He was way before his time, and he was very brash, he was very bold, he was very courageous. And that was something, obviously, that was needed during that time, but it's something that's needed now, I think, more than ever, right? So the way that he talked about, the way he approached topics of his era, and some of the people that he talked to, some of the people that he associated with, I think was genius, and I think it was, incredibly courageous. So what I want to do is talk about one of the poems that he wrote. And the name of this poem is called The Giver, right? And the official title of this poem is called The Giver for Burtis, right? So immediately when I look at this poem, I'm thinking, who is Burtis? So doing research and, going back and looking at, who he's speaking to, Burtis is his mother, Burtis Baldwin, right? So as we go through the poem, even though he's writing the poem, from his perspective, he's speaking to his mother, okay? So let's go through it. I don't want to turn this into a history lesson. If you want to learn more about James Baldwin, we've got more than enough resources at our fingertips in order to do that. You can use YouTube, Wikipedia, whatever the case may be. James Baldwin is an incredible beacon of light and hope, during an era where for a lot of people and for a lot of people that look like me, during an era where there wasn't really a lot to be hopeful for. There was a very dark time, for African American people, and he was a beacon of light during that time. And he's a beacon of light now. If you go back and look at some of the things that he talked about, I mean, it was just incredible, some of the things that he touched on. So, what I want to do is kind of go through this poem and dissect it and talk about what it meant to me. And, if it reaches you, it reaches you. If not, maybe go back and dig into it and you'll see that a lot of what he talked about, impacts, us as well. All right, so the name of the poem is called The Giver. If the hope of giving is to love the living, the giver risks madness in the act of giving. Now, who can't relate to that, right? Because, I guess the moral of that stanza is because everybody doesn't have your best interests at heart. And I think we can all relate to that. Even though your intentions might be good, right? So you'll see somebody going through it. You'll see somebody having an issue, right? At least for me anyway, my first, reaction is to help them, right? But, a very important lesson to learn is that, everybody doesn't have your best interests at heart. Even though they might be going through something, right? They might not be able to, or, they might not see that what you're doing is coming from a place of love, or coming from a place of light, or coming from a place of empathy, right? A lot of people are going to try to take advantage of that. And I think the fact that he opened up this poem, he kind of let you into what his thought process is as he moves forward throughout the poem. And he says that in the very next part of the poem. He says, some such lesson I seem to see in the faces that surrounded me. He's bringing you into his world. He's talking to you, about the people that, he's let into his circle, the people that he surrounded himself with, right? And, this is not a happy piece. Right, he's telling you that the people that he's let into his circle, the people that he's trusted, the people that, that he's associating with are taking advantage of him, right? And, he's speaking directly to his mom about them. Needy and blind, unhopeful, unlifted. What gift would give them the gift to be gifted? Now let's talk about that for a second. All right, so talking from the second part of that phrase, what gift would give them the gift to be gifted? The giver, right, has a gift of empathy, of giving, of compassion, of love, of light. What an incredible gift that is, right? To be able to approach a situation, from the perspective of compassion, of light, of love. That is a gift. That is a gift, from God, So the people that he's trying to help, the needy, the blind, and not necessarily blind meaning the absence of physical sight, but blind like, not able to see a situation for what it is, or not being able to comprehend a situation for what it is. The unhopeful, the unlifted, the downtrodden, the depressed, the down and out, right? And that's who he's speaking to here. What gift would give them the gift to be gifted? What do I have to give you? What do I have to say to you, right? To be able to enjoy this incredible gift that I have, right? The gift to be gifted, right? What a powerful thing, right? To be able to be empathetic, to be able to be compassionate. But the reality is, and going into the next part of this phrase, the giver is no less adrift, right? I'm just as lost as you, right? I'm just as in some cases, just as downtrodden as you. But part of my gift is being able to be compassionate, being able to, to see you for who you are and still be able to help you, right? The giver is no less adrift than those who are clamoring for the gift. Yeah, you're depressed. Yeah, you're broke. right? Yeah, you need help. Yeah, you need assistance, right? But I am too. I might be broke also, right? But part of my gift is being able to dig down deep and to give you light, right? To share whatever light that I have left with you, all right? And then I think, he finishes the poem, right? He's mad, he's upset about his situation. If they cannot claim it, if it is not there, if their empty fingers beat the empty air, give me, give me, give me. So now he's upset, he's mad, right? So if you're not satisfied with what it is that I'm giving you, right? It's not enough. What I'm giving you is not enough. I'm giving you everything that I have, or everything that I feel that you need, to receive help, but it's just not enough. It's not enough. My empty fingers are beating the empty air. Give me, give me, give me. It's just not enough. What I'm giving you is not enough. And the giver goes down on his knees in prayer. Like, please, please help me, God. Help me, Lord. Knows that all of his giving has been for naught, right? It's just not enough. Everything that I'm giving, everything that I'm doing, not enough. What else do I have to do? What else do I have to give, right? In order for you to appreciate what it is that I'm doing. And that nothing was ever what he thought, and turns in his guilty bed to stare. Now, I love this line, right? Nothing was ever what he thought. Like, I thought that what I was doing, you would appreciate. Now, how many times have you done things in life where, you did them with the understanding or with the thought that, after I do this thing, you're going to appreciate it. So then, it becomes, well, who are you really doing it for? Are you doing it to help that person, or are you doing it to help yourself? Right? So that's kind of an upside down way of thinking about it, but that's reality, right? Are you really doing it to help that person, or are you doing it to help yourself? Right? And that's what I think is what he's saying here, right? And that nothing was ever what he thought. And he turns in his guilty bed to stare at the starving multitudes that are standing there. He can't even sleep. You can't even sleep. As I'm laying down, this is a place of rest, right? I'm turning down for the night, right? There are a couple of ways you can look at this, I think, right? But he's turning down for the night. He's getting rest, but he can't get the thoughts out of his head of the people that need help, the people that need assistance, right? So instead of helping himself, instead of dealing with his own issues, right? He's internalizing their issues. How can I help this person, or how can I help these people? I can't even sleep. My brain can't even rest because I'm thinking about your issues and how to help you and your issues, right? And he feels guilty about it, right? So I think that's kind of metaphoric, right? So it might not be, the actual bed that I lay down, or it may be, but I think this is kind of a double meaning here. You always hear the phrase, this is my bed, and now I have to lay in it, talking about a situation that I've created for myself. And now I've got to lay in it and deal with it. But now, instead of just my issues that I'm dealing with, I've taken on your issues too, right? So he turns in his guilty bed to stare at the starving multitudes that are standing there. So these people, that have given me their problems to deal with, are waiting for my solution. They're waiting for my solution so that they can move on with their lives. Forget me and my life that I've got to move on. It's their life that's more important. And I'm tired, right? Again, speaking from the perspective of James Baldwin talking to his mother. I'm tired. So I rise from bed and I curse to heaven. Why, God? Why have you given me this responsibility? Why have you given me this burden? He must yet understand that to whom much is given, much will be taken, and justly so. So I have this gift. I embrace this gift. I enjoy this gift, right? So God has given me this gift to be empathetic, to be compassionate, to be loving, right? As a beacon of light for those that need it, right? So much has been given. This gift has been given to me. But there is a responsibility that goes along with having that gift. Much will be taken, and justly so, right? So James is saying, I agree that, that with this gift comes great responsibility, right? And then lastly, he closes out the poem by saying, I cannot tell how much I owe. So much has been taken, right? I can't even tell how much I owe. Right? How powerful is that last statement? I cannot tell how much I owe. So much has been taken from me. I've given so much, right? There's no end to how much I've given. I've given so much that I don't even know, I can't even tell how much I owe now. Such a powerful way to end this poem. This gift of compassion, right? That I was given, by the Almighty, right? So much has been taken because of this gift that I don't even know how much I owe, right? Now, keep in mind, right, James is writing this poem for his mother, for Burtis, right? So now, internalizing this and thinking about, what this means to me, Scott Pearson, I could easily apply this, to my parent, or, to my wife, or to the people in, my life that I try to emulate, because I think I have this gift, right? I think, when I see someone that's maybe going through a problem, I'll give to them before I give to myself. And, this is, obviously put me in situations in my life that I wouldn't be in if I didn't think that way. But would I change that? No. I think I enjoy being, compassionate. I think, I enjoy being empathetic. I enjoy being, naive. That's just the way I am, and I wouldn't change it for anything. So, that's just my breakdown of James Baldwin's poem, The Giver, for Burtis. I hope you enjoyed it. And there'll be more episodes like this, as I move forward with this project. And again, for my kids, but, for you also, for me also. Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Isn't this a qualitative change in the entire situation?
Yes, but you must remember what I'm trying to convey. Because I'm not arguing that the situation has changed. I'm not even arguing, that progress has been made. I'm not questioning the goodwill, of the people who are doing it or helping to do it. This is not the question. What I'm trying to get at is this. All right, that's true. But you, oneself, the boy, the girl, is in fact living in a house that he can't move out of because he's black.
But there is surely an end to these wretched and miserable and degrading stereotypes that I was brought up on as a white person, and all of us were brought up on who are white. The Stephen Fetchits, the Bojangles Robinsons, the Aunt Jemimas, all these, the Octavius Roy Cohn stories, and all the rest of it. All this is gone.
This is incontestable. But what has come to take its place is not truer. It is still an image which is still designed not to reveal the truth, but to hide it.